All right, everybody. So we are here live with our winners. Say hi, winners.
Hello.
And we're just going to take just a minute and just capture their story and some of their experiences, and have them, tell you what their experience was like. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip my camera around here. So first, say hi. Tell us what your team numbers are.
So our team number was 266, and our team was 184.
Okay. Excellent. And then I'm going to sit down on this table here and then just tell us a little bit about your overall experience. When did you guys start?
So we started yesterday morning, probably an hour after you guys already put the clue up, or the QR code.
Okay,
in the window.
so around 10.
So we started a little late, then we started figuring a few things out. Christy figured out the clue up, remember the main, and then we went and the kids helped find the numbers and pointed stuff out for us, and we got that. And then Embleton's, we met up with them a little bit after that. When you guys sent out the first kind of, what does everybody want help with?
Yeah, put out that poll.
Yeah. And then they jumped in and they had some stuff, and so we kind of started collaborating at that point.
So definitely for us, we started about 11:30, and I think right off the bat we got a lot of information. But
The packets,
we
Okay.
really dissected the packets, but we just didn't know what to do with the information and how it all came together.
Yeah, I think an experience that a lot of our hunters can relate to.
Like, we saw it all, but we're like, okay, what are we actually supposed to do with this? Like, where is this going? Where's this one
It
going?
was a little overwhelming with all of this stuff, and it wasn't until we kind of met up and had different perspectives from everyone and able to bounce it off, and that everything was able to come together.
Then we kind of figured out that a lot of the clues were back here in the middle of town, and then we started looking at a couple different ones, and then Christy figured out the codes for, which one was it? The Sundance Kid.
Yeah, the plaques.
She figured out how to read the plaque. I figured out that they were the plaques, and then she figured out how to read the code and decipher the code. And then me and Seth ran around and we're marking stuff off, and we were pretty close, and then we went back and got a little help from some other people too, and they needed some help from us, and we kind of collaborated with other teams outside of our two teams and got some traded codes, or traded information, hints and information. And then we found out that the mare was the only XX, and he figured out chromosome, and I figured out Norton. I was like, that's got to be Sonia Norton.
Yeah.
And, so we put that in and got that one, and then what else did we figure out last night? Besides, remember the main
There was the...
Sundance Kid.
We did a lot of dead ends.
We did hit a lot of dead ends. We figured out one more. Which one was it?
Johnny Nevada.
Oh, yeah, that was one that we figured out the
With the newspaper, right?
We figured out the newspaper stuff, and we found his obituary for Butch Cassidy with his real name, and then I couldn't figure out how to decipher that. And then
So that was one that we actually
we traded another team.
Yeah, we
answer
found
for answer.
Yeah.
So tried
Some
to-
wheeling and dealing.
A little bit of a community effort.
Yeah. Well, I was just so impressed throughout the whole event because, like, there was just so much community going on, right? There were so many people just helping each other,
It
and
was awesome. It was cool. You know, everybody kind of like held some clues, but like was like, "What do you got?"
Yeah.
And you kind of like, "Well, what do you got?" And you kind of be like, "Well, I'll trade you a little for a little," and then you work. So it was kind of cool because I think every team that was out there kind of collaborated a little bit with at least one or two more other teams, and traded a few things and gathered information to help you further things along. And then today we came downtown again and met up with them, and we figured out a couple more, and then
It kind of snowballed really quick.
yeah. After those last couple, it just kind of snowballed real fast, and then we were trying to figure out the bubble / we knew where it was.
Mount Davis.
The big block of from 2100 to
500 west.
Yeah, 500 west, that block. And then we were driving around trying to figure it out, and my kids looked at the signs and saw the little numbers, and they're like, what are those, Dad? I'm like, that's what we need.
Yeah.
So then we were mad dash for that, and then as soon as
Cool.
and
They
then,
really did help out a
So
lot.
as
They
soon
were
as we
awesome.
got here, we just started helping them, and we just grid patterned the whole thing and ran it. I'm running down Main Street, and as they're getting another street, they're doing the same thing, and I think we got all of the letters in probably less than 10 minutes.
pretty
Yeah.
quick,
Awesome.
pretty quick,
Fun.
and then-
One thing I thought was funny with that though is you could tell the people that was watching us run to the different intersections. Either they knew and they were looking for the same thing, so they were watching what we were doing to follow what we were doing, or they had no idea what we were doing and thought we were crazy. Like it was funny. We were
It was
running.
awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was
and,
fun.
And then Natalie, when we got that, she started reading the code from the back, and she's like, I'm like, how are we supposed to decipher this? This makes no sense. And I even flipped my phone around to try to get a reverse thing on it, and I'm like, I'm not reading that. That's not working. And then she's like reading it from the bottom. This agency hunted. I'm like, Pinkertons.
Yeah. Well, he pointed out this, and once he said that, like it literally, like I was like reading it like I was reading a book. Like it all, this agency,
Yeah.
Butch Cassidy,
yeah.
Hunted, Butch Cassidy and Gang or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he knew, Pinkerton, like so that's how like
And then
we got it. It was literally
so
like brains
and
going.
as soon as we got all those codes, we were gonna meet up, and then we're like, you know what? We know SR 45 and south, and then we knew some of the mileage, and we're like, let's just head that way. And then he pulled up on his map and started while we were driving out that way and started figuring out exact mileage to different things, which led us to the roads. And
used Onyx to just kind of chart it out exactly to the mileage. And once I had to try a couple different roads to reach the mileage I wanted. And then once I found it, I was like, oh, this road literally at this point goes right, so it's going to be one of the rights. And then just from there, once we got out there, I started the process over again and just kind of knocked
the
out the
clues
clues.
actually, like, as I thought they would be harder to follow, but once you were starting to do that, it said 3 rights, no left, and then another right.
And I like how you put the
no left.
the no
Zero
left.
left.
The 0 left was actually another right.
Yeah. I don't know
Yep.
if you guys realized that, but on the road out there,
I like it for us.
we did our 3 turns, and we were actually at that crossroad where it, like, split.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
yeah, because the road keeps going,
It's going, but then it also...
but it's a new road.
Yeah, so it looks like 2 main roads. So we were
Ah.
like,
Which one?
0 left, nope, no left, so we're going right again. And
Yeah,
And then,
We, I don't know.
I followed them out later,
and then she came out, yeah, a little
just
later.
a few minutes later, and I thought they were crazy. I'm
Yeah.
like, where
She
are
was
we going?
asking us,
Yeah.
like...
This is-
that's about what.
Are you sure?
I
So
was
we're like,
asked-
are we sure?
And once we got out there, as I was standing at the spot, I took a line on Onyx again, and I used from the center of town straight out to where we were standing, and it was exactly the 15.2 miles, which was
The two
The
added
two.
pro
Yep,
miles.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was like, this is
gotta
it.
be it.
This is it.
And I think we ended up being maybe like a 1/10 of a mile off from when we parked our cars because we were looking everywhere.
We
And then we're like, you know what?
What,
There's
hour and a
got to
half
be
or so?
something that they would
2 hours.
put
2
where
hours.
this chest would be put that we can find. And like, they've got to have come out here looking for a place to hide it, and then collaborated all the information to put in there.
Yep,
And so
that's
we're like-
exactly how it went.
So we're looking for a place where that would have been hidden, and you looked in the spot.
Yeah, I literally got into the little crevice where it was at, and I guess I just didn't look to my left.
Or
But
didn't look enough.
Yeah.
so and then
Well, before we left, we put that tumbleweed on top. I'm sure it was still there, so that would have made it hard to find.
I don't remember that. I just remember.
Well,
No, I'm sure it was gone. We actually,
We probably did move it.
so we were so worried about being followed. We hit it 3 weeks ago. That's
Yeah, yeah.
3
We
weeks
didn't
ago.
see
Yeah,
any footprints.
yeah.
We were looking.
We didn't
were
want
looking,
anybody to
though.
find footprints. Yeah. We were serious.
And then Christy looked in there in the same area too.
I looked there
yeah.
too. Somehow
Yeah.
missed it.
And then we're like, let's check again. And we
The
were probably
kids-
out there for 2.5 hours. We were out
Yeah.
there for a while.
Yeah.
It was so
We're like-
hot. We had
we're-
ran out.
we
There-
ran out of all
we ran
our
out of
drinks.
water. It was scary, actually.
Yeah.
We were very
there.
hot and tired. The kids were like laying in the back of the car. We were-
mad dash to get out there. So
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys probably should have had a GoPro pointed at it because I looked in. I'm like, nope, not in there. Looked over and I'm like,
Oh
and
yeah.
I was, and all these guys were over the hill a little ways, and I'm like, so I'm just screaming and yelling, wow, we got it!
when I say if he's joking, that is it.
Well,
I'm
she's like, that's
that's
a
a
sick
me
joke.
I believe you.
Well, he had joked when we first got
You
there. He
might
was like,
be.
"Oh yeah," and I'm like, "That's not nice."
And then he did the same thing.
He did the same thing.
I almost got grounded.
So, and then when we found it, it was just everybody was just we were all just freaking out. It was
We were
awesome.
screaming.
That's
probably
so
10 minutes. It was
fun.
fun.
That's so fun. So yeah, tell us just a little bit about that. When you won, like what did it feel like? What were the first things that went through your head?
I've been doing a lot of the treasure hunts around here for the prize rocks and this and
Yeah.
that. And I never find it, and it's kind of discouraging. So, I mean, it was just huge. It was like, I've tried and tried and tried, and I finally got a chance, and I finally did it. And so it was really neat. So,
Cool validation.
Cool.
I mean, we're just like we know it's right here. Nobody else is here. We're like we gotta find this, and somebody's gonna pull up. And they're gonna go right to it, and we're gonna lose.
Yeah.
And we're like,
That was weird.
this is terrible. And then when I found it, it was just like, ah! I was like, I couldn't believe it. We were yelling. I was screaming for all these guys, and I'm running, holding the treasure chest up, like, ah!
I wish we
Yeah.
would have recorded, but I think we were in so much shock that none
Oh,
of us
yeah.
like,
No.
Yeah.
But I wish we would have because he was like, hey, you know,
I'm like
and
holding
Seth
it up,
got
like,
to him. Yeah, it was.
I'll be honest, I thought it was just going to be like a weekend where we went out and had some family time and whatnot because I didn't expect that we were
Well,
going
we
to
were already
win.
starting
Yeah.
late. So
And
like,
we
it's
started
fun,
late
you know?
and didn't started late today. I was like, you know what? It's just going to be a good family time. But then once things started clicking and
Yeah.
once I figured out
had a
with
chance.
everything and we went out there
Yeah.
and it was just kind of dumbfounding. Just like we actually have a chance.
Yeah.
And then
So yeah, like at what point did you realize like, hey, yeah, we do have a chance?
when we went out there and no one was
No one's
there.
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so you all the way up until that.
We were getting clues, and we heard the night before that people had 5 clues on the first night, and people were telling people that, and I'm like, we got no chance at this, you know, and we're like, or you know, you're meeting up with other people, and they're like, oh, we got 4 or 5, and we're like 2 or 3, and we're like, man, how is everybody getting them so quick? And then we just kept going. We're just like, oh, let's just keep doing it. We're figuring it out. Let's go for it. And then we got out there, and nobody was out there. And we're like, I was starting to think we're in the wrong spot.
We
And
did
then
start thinking that a
a
little
lot of
bit.
it,
Yeah.
and we all did. And then we were like,
Well,
no.
after
And then we kept going
the
back
first
through the
hour.
clues and going, this is it. And I think when I grabbed it and we were running, he came running up by me, and I think I picked you up with one hand. Like a big old girl spin, you know, like, ah!
That's the Cinderella.
Yeah, well, I like girl spin.
Well, like going to that moment, I think what made it so just amazing, and all of us like were just like, I can't believe this, is how hard like you guys made it. But it was hard, but it was so fun.
It was
like
a lot of fun.
yeah, I think we're still kind of in shock that we
Yeah.
that we found
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we keep
Well,
keep on
good.
this and holding it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a huge thanks, guys, for playing, and thanks for sharing your story. Anything else you want to share with the
you
crowd?
for putting it together.
Tell all the
Like,
sponsors
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody
Generous
who
of
was
everybody, and I mean the community was just fantastic. We got a great place
Yeah.
to live here in Vernal, so
These kids will never forget
I won't forget.
this weekend. None of us will forget this weekend.
Good.
So it was fun.
Thank you.
Well, that's that's really what we did. I'm gonna flip the camera so you can see Quinn and the team here. Maybe if it'll let me flip my camera again. Here we go. But so us here at it won't let me turn my camera. I have to do portrait. But so Hayden and I, I don't know. Hayden and I had this idea. We wanted to put on an event, and it was like May when we went and talked to you, Quinn. April, May, something like that. Was it sooner than that?
Oh yeah, it was February or March.
But yeah, it's been a while. We went out to lunch. We took Quinn out to lunch. We said, hey, we have this idea. We want to do a fun event. So for Hayden and I, we founded Red Exit Escapes, and it was just really important to us. We just want to do good events for the community, right? And so hearing you guys say, you said you'd remember this event, you'd remember this weekend. Red Exit has a brand mission, and that is to help people build memories and relationships, And we just started thinking, what's a good thing that we can do to bring the community together? Our community has a lot of things higher than the national averages for drug abuse and teen pregnancy and suicide. And these are the things that I think come from this we've all heard a million times, there's nothing to do in Vernal, right? And our mission is to combat that, but we took this idea to Quinn, and holy cow, like Quinn just ran with it. You know, like I remember, and I'm sure Quinn remembers this too. Like we were at lunch, and we brought up the idea, and he's like, "Boo, let's do it, let's go." And he had already called Leisha at the Department of Tourism. She's like, "Hey, when can we meet with you?" And we're like, "Man, this is gonna happen." And then Quinn just like the mind behind the puzzles. Like this is the guy, we couldn't have done it without him. Super amazing. And then have to shout out to the Department of Tourism, Bridget and Leisha. Amazing. Like they are doing such an amazing job, and I think almost nobody in the county realizes how much good the three of you guys are doing for the community. And then we had great support from all our sponsors.
All of our
right?
sponsors were excellent.
And I hope that all of our sponsors, I hope everybody who participated, like, take a look at that sponsor list and just see ways you can support these guys, because what a cool thing they've done for the community, and I hope all the sponsors are proud to have been a part of this. So, big thanks. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, just wonderful event. Congratulations again. We are going to, in about 15 minutes, we're going to go live again on Facebook Live and walk through all the projects, or all the puzzles.
We've got slides and pictures, and we'll give a step-by-step. So if, like, the puzzles are all still up, and if you still want to solve them, you're totally welcome. Don't watch the video that's coming next if you want to finish. But they'll be up through the weekend, right? A lot of them would be available longer than that, but all of them will be up through the weekend. So feel free to go solve. But if you're stumped, watch the video that comes up in a few minutes, and we'll walk through step by step everything. So, anything else? Good. Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
You guys did an amazing job. I think you guys put it together in a way that actually taught us some history of the area.
Absolutely.
And
Vernal.
like
We were all over Vernal. So
yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've got a deeper connection with the community in the area because of how you guys put it together.
definitely.
Love it.
Thank you.
Just so we're
But thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Huge thank you. Okay, thanks guys. We'll see you in a few minutes.